Hi, it's Tech Thursday. I'm Cassie, and we're trying to figure out. So, Nicole is on the road, and we think we can get her on this call so we're not all alone again. Since last week, we had Just and Nicole hang out, and I'm a little distracted because I'm trying to get the link to her so she can. Okay, sorry about that. So we'll see if she can join, but yeah, we still don't really have any topics, so that's kind of fun. So I guess until Nicole gets here, I will just make noise. Let's see. So I've been doing a lot of. We did a Tech Thursday about this. I think it was like when I first started here about a year ago, about dealing with ridiculous people online, or just like people who leave really negative reviews, or like if you're in a restaurant, or just like really nasty comments, or people who anonymously like send me emails. I'm not personally popular enough to really have ever dealt with this. Although I do some review stuff for some of our clients, so they will occasionally get nasty stuff. So I thought I'd talk a little about how to do that. Oh, Nicole's calling. Hello. Hold on, I dropped my phone in the snow the other day, so it's having some issues.
You also dropped your phone in the snow?
Yeah, well, I brought it skiing with me, and
You brought skiing with you? Did your phone enjoy your skiing? Great costume you have, Sarah.
So yeah, I was just kind of making noise until I could get you on the line.
Oh, that's fine. I tried. I could just watch you, but I don't think you could see me or hear me.
No, I couldn't see or hear anything, to be honest. So
no,
I guess.
It's fine. No worries. Let's do it. Put me on speakerphone.
Yeah, you are on speakerphone.
I am. Oh my god. So yeah, I am in northern Maine. And actually, I just met with one of my friends who's recently started a business. So we got her website started to set up. She's gonna be building it. So we just sort of sat with her and kind of showed her around WordPress, and she's excited. So I'm at a house. We're hanging out with her cat, and her kid, and her dog, and her, and
whoa.
And yeah. So how about you, Cassie? What are you up to this fine day?
Well, I just turned the space heater off. It's actually kind of warm out today.
It's so cozy. I like a nice space heater going myself.
I know. I would carry one around on my back all the time.
That would be awkward, but
if I had a better back, it was at all ergonomic, I would do that. It would feel like my little Yoda.
Nice. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about podcast stuff? Is that what we're talking about?
Sure.
See, I'm really ill-prepared because I spent 6 hours yesterday in a seminar talking about Facebook. And I honestly did not know I had 6 hours worth of stuff to say about Facebook, but apparently I do.
Did you see the thing I was just seeing on Feedly when I was doing LinkedIn stuff, that apparently Facebook has now made it possible for you to pick someone to manage your account after you don't exist anymore?
Oh, interesting. So who would you pick to manage your account?
Honestly, well, my instinct would be like, oh, my brother, like next of kin. But I don't.
But then it's your brother.
But that is my brother, and I feel like he would just do. So what I was going into with the podcast thing was I was going to go into trolling, but I think this is also a good topic for trolling because my brother is the biggest troll of my life.
He's a bit of a, you know, I can see that. I mean, I did meet him that one time, but I can see him, you know, between, like, my mom, who I'm sure would take my legacy very seriously, but hardly ever post anything. Mm-hmm. And, you know, someone like Derek, who just, you know, I mean, people could definitely tell that it wasn't me updating it anymore. They'd be like, who is this? It would be pretty random, I think. So, yeah.
But they would both be well-intentioned.
Right. So my curious is, I'm not sure if I want my Facebook to continue on. I feel like I would just want it to be just a stagnant page. I guess people could post up to it, you know, when stuff reminded them of me or whatever. But I don't think I want anyone managing it after. I don't want a legacy.
Yeah, I would just want mine to, like, go away. I guess it's called the Legacy Contact. I have the article in front of me. So,
oh, interesting.
The Legacy Contact, it appears in your Facebook security settings. You can select a specific Facebook friend, so they have to be on Facebook too.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, you're not going to be like, oh, hey, Mom, can you try Facebook? Okay, now can you manage my... Yeah, it would be nice if somebody already knew what they were doing a little bit, but...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious. I'm not sure how many people are watching this right now because I'm calling them on the phone, but I'm curious if anyone's watching this, who you would have to be your legacy Facebook person. That would be an interesting question. I'm curious if people will choose this option. And if they do, who they pick. Would they pick their spouse? Would they pick their kid? Would they pick, you know, a PR firm? Would they pick?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like you and I wouldn't pick anybody, so I'm just sure that is a common sentiment.
Well, what happens when your legacy contact takes over, your page becomes, well, you can opt in to have your account deleted after you pass away, which I would probably do. Slash, I'm assuming by the time, like, if, you know, I make it, I just knocked on wood, if I make it, like, to old age, like, by the time I'm 70, am I really going to have Facebook anymore? I don't know. I guess we'll have to play the waiting game on that one.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that we have to think about managing our, you know, not just our physical stuff, but our, you know, online stuff. Like, we have stuff now that, like, doesn't exist really, but clearly exists enough. So we have to think about it now. Interesting.
Like, yeah. So anyway, if you don't want it, if you don't choose to have it deleted straight up, your account becomes memorialized.
Oh.
So it won't show up in a friend suggestion or, like, as an actual page like it normally would have. So that's kind of interesting. I just picture, like, my brother taking over my account and being, like, a total weirdo.
Yeah.
Well,
like, now that you've
LOL
said
on the
what it
zombie.
is, I might consider someone doing it then. I don't know, though. Yeah. I still think no, but I see where there's a little bit more structure than I thought there was about it.
Yeah.
I learned something new today, Cassie, about Facebook. And I'm saying something because I talked about Facebook for 6 hours today.
Well, that reminds me, so if only that article came out yesterday.
What came out yesterday?
If only that article came out yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, no. I had enough stuff to say. It was fine.
6 hours,
like
my word. I don't think I can talk about anything for 6 hours.
Well, what was hilarious too is it was in my old high school, and I haven't been in there in, like, at least 5 to 10 years, and it smells the exact same. I walked in and I was like, oh my god, this smells the exact same, but it looked different. Like, it was just a little Twilight Zone-y, you know, it's just like everything was just a little bit different. Some things were a lot different, and I didn't know where things were. Oh my god! So that was kind of funny. So, yeah, there was, you know, 20-ish people, and most of them who I didn't know, despite the fact that I come from a relatively small town. So yeah, it was funny. It was funny that it was in my old high school. So I'm, like, standing in my old high school, you know. I'm eating my old high school lunch at, you know, because they gave us lunch, you know. I don't know. They didn't make us go in the cafeteria, though. I was glad because I wasn't sure where I was supposed to sit. I knew where my old table was in high school, but I wasn't sure that table still means what it meant, you know,
Yeah, the clips
20
have
years ago.
probably all rearranged themselves. So
Yeah, like maybe some cool people now, and then I would have sat there and I would have said something. But so yeah, so that was my day yesterday.
Cool.
Oh my god, yeah. So I'm gonna head after our talk today here. I'm gonna head home, so that'll be good.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was really crappy, and I didn't prepare anything. I woke up late to go to this meeting with my friend, and I just like bolted out of bed and came here to help her with her site. And then I was like, oh my god, it's almost 10. I gotta go next. I got to see what's up. So I didn't even read our notes. So I'm really sorry that I'm still prepared, but hopefully it could be at least commentary.
Yeah, well, my notes are pretty much all like in my brain, so I was just generally going to talk about the introduction. I don't know if you heard any of it. Sort of like dealing with ridiculous people online, but I was listening to this podcast because that's a thing I do now. And it was talking about trolling, like this woman who, I don't remember her name, but she writes for Jezebel. And
yes.
she was getting trolled. Like this guy actually made a Twitter account of her
dead father.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my god, that's terrible. But I thought the interesting thing was like he actually admitted, I was unhappy with myself and I saw you being you and happy, and it more or less pissed me off. And I had to be a jerk.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it was interesting because I listened to the same podcast, interestingly enough, and like she called him up. I mean, she didn't use his name or anything. She didn't out him, but she called him up and had a conversation with, why would someone antagonize someone they don't know on the internet? Like, go to such an extent that you create an email address, you create accounts, you research information about this person's life.
That's the part that freaked me out, that he actually, like, did that, like, looked up information about her, and like, took that time.
Yeah, like read her father's obituary and got information from that to use to create this account and say really mean things.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I thought that was taking it pretty far too. Have you ever been trolled?
I haven't. So one of the other points I made in the introduction is I don't think I'm like big enough to be trolled necessarily yet. Maybe.
Yeah, I guess if you're a nationally published whoever.
Yeah, like I don't think people really know who I am. And also we live in Bar Harbor.
Right.
So
yeah, I've never really had this issue either. I've had a few anonymous, very negative comments on the blog, but I can count them all on one hand. And it was clearly like people who were jealous or whatever, and a couple of my friends were like, "Are you gonna take those down?" And I was like, "No, it's fine." I mean, there's 1,500 positive comments and 5 really negative ones. Like that is enough of a summary. I mean, and you have to go looking for them. But yeah, people usually have better things to do than troll you unless they can be jealous of you. So maybe we're just not people are jealous of yet. Or maybe we just, don't seem like the kind of people that are worth antagonizing. I don't know.
Yeah, I also feel like we genuinely, like, yes, it stings a little to get negative comments, but meh.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry you feel that way is kind of my attitude about it. And I feel like that generally takes the wind out of people's sails, and you kind of like flip it back on them, like, this says more about you than it does about me.
Right, well, I think the idea of trolling is like it's this active relationship. A negative comment, that's not trolling, but like I said, to go through and do all this research, I think it's interesting. Like I said, I thought it was cool that he actually talked to her. I think probably for a lot of people who are having this happen to them, it was probably really comforting to hear the side of this person, like kind of accepting the apology you never get sort of thing. So he apologized to this woman, this writer, in the call, but at the same time, most people aren't going to get an apology. But I think hearing that podcast would be, kind of affirming to anyone who's ever been in that situation.
I also like the idea, like, one of the things he said was, when he realized, like, oh, this is an actual human being that I'm hurting. Like, before she was just, like, she didn't have a face or anything like that. It was just someone who was writing articles. But then at some point in his whatever, he realized, like, oh, this is an actual person with feelings, and I'm causing this harm to her. But hearing him on the phone too, it was like, oh, there's an actual other person who has or was having, like, issues of his own. This is a very interesting, like, we're all human, and
right, and he was apologetic, but he was a little detached too. So I sort of got like, oh, but there's definitely some personality types that I could see would think of this as more kind of acceptable than. I mean, I feel like I probably wouldn't do that, but like you said, this guy, like, you know, he was open and stuff, but also I felt like he was a little detached during that conversation. I don't know if you thought that too when you heard him.
I took it as a defense mechanism of sorts, just because that's, like, when I personally have that detached sort of tone, it's a self-preservation thing, but I also like to apply that to other people, and I don't know if he was necessarily, because, I mean, I also wouldn't troll people, so.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like he was very, like, he was clearly sorry, but I think he, in some ways, felt his behavior was kind of justified because he was so unhappy. He was like, but it was cool because I was just really unhappy then, and I'm not doing it now.
Well, and what's interesting is during the Facebook seminar, you know, I try to anticipate people's questions and put things in an order that I think makes sense, but something that someone brought up, and something I probably should add to this presentation in general, is how do you deal with negative comments? And I thought it was interesting, and I thought of two kind of instances where I've had to deal with stuff on behalf of businesses we've worked with. And one was like, you know, I was on vacation, and as you know, I don't take a lot of vacation, and I was on the West Coast, so I got a phone call at 4 a.m. from a client who said, oh my, and so it's, you know, whatever, 7 or 8 a.m. I have a hard time with time zones. I have to go to the time zone website whenever I look for a time zone. But so he called me and was like, oh my God, look at this, like, scathing review on our Facebook page. Because it was 4 a.m. and because I needed a couple more hours of sleep, and I said, let's just let it sit there and let's look at it in 2 hours. So I hang up and I go back to sleep, and I wake up and I go on and I go to look at the comments, and I see that all their fans have jumped to their defense. Like, so they didn't have to go in and say anything. Their, you know, Facebook fans jumped in, oh, you're wrong. I mean, I think they weren't really mean to the person, but they just kind of like set them straight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I was like, see, so then they were able to come in after and say, like, you know, thank you everyone for your support. Like, you know, I forget what the guy's name was, but like, you know, Tony, I'm sorry you had a really bad experience. I hope you'll give this a try again, you know. Mm-hmm. And then a different time, it was kind of a different problem. It was a different business, and this person was always commenting off topic and asking really random questions on their Facebook page. Like, they're a very active Facebook user on this businesses, and they're like, this person is so annoying. I don't know how to get rid of them. But I also knew that brand of crazy, if you tell them to go away, they're going to come back with all this negative stuff. So what I decided to do was I talked to the woman and I said, hey, like, I noticed you're really active on this community, you know, on this Facebook page. I said, you know, I'm working with this business and they're really trying to get the word out about X and Y. I was thinking maybe, you know, you could help us out with that. So I like redirected her energy toward, you know, and then she got, of course, probably tired of being positive and she kind of faded out. But, you know, we were able to channel her energy for good for a little while.
Got tired of being positive. That's hilarious.
Right. Yeah, so kind of like redirecting the energy. I mean, so depending on like who the person is, if it's a one-off person, or if it's someone who's just, you know, really, you know, clearly wants to be noticed by the community, and is maybe doing some negative attention-seeking behavior, like kind of how you deal with it. But those are kind of, honestly, it doesn't happen a ton. So I really had to go back, like, you know, 6 years for the you know? But yeah, so as a business, like sometimes you have to deal with online behavior too, but you know, you have to deal with it a little differently.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're kind of the master at that. You like come up with really good ways to say stuff. How do you come up with the wording as you're addressing someone's negative comment, you know, on a Facebook page or anywhere else that, you know, when we respond as businesses on behalf of them?
Well, the rhetoric is really interesting, and I just felt like using the word rhetoric to sound smart. But it's kind of like a formula, and you don't want to get too formulaic with your responses because people will pick up on that and be like, oh, this is just like you're just filling in blanks. Cool. This isn't heartfelt at all. But generally, you want to acknowledge that there's a problem. So I'm sorry that you had a bad experience. Not necessarily too specific, but you do want to kind of tailor it to the person's issue and address it. No matter how outlandish you personally think it is, you just want to make the person feel acknowledged. And like 90% of the time, that's all they really want is just acknowledge, like, yes, you probably had a bad experience, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Apologize in some way. And if applicable, fix it somehow or make an offer to fix it, depending on the situation. Obviously, I can't personally do that for a business. So be like, oh, P.S., you promised this person a gift card or something. Like, I don't have the authority to do that. But say if it was something really legitimately bad, like emailing the actual business owner, be like, hey, this person had this issue, like, and maybe offer a suggestion, like, I think you should do X or Y. What do you think? And then another thing, if it gets like really nasty, don't comment like on the Facebook page, like where everyone can see and make it public. Like,
that's a really good point. Taking it offline, instantly like diffuses it. But you know, like you said, responding to someone and saying, "Hey, I'm sorry," you know, and then saying, you know, I would really like to talk to you. You know, I'm going to send you a message right now. I'm going to send you an email right now.
Yeah,
so we can talk about this. And all the people who are like waiting around for that fight, you know, I'm picturing a bunch of people like it's like a school year, fight, you know. And immediately when you say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go talk somewhere else," the crowd disperses, you know.
Yeah, there's like no drama here.
Yeah, and if you don't put out drama, you don't tend to attract it.
Maybe that's why we don't get trolled.
Yeah, that's probably part of the reason, but I think part of the reason too, and I would really like to have this conversation with someone like, you know, like Terry Jones, who's like a best-selling author. I'm really curious if she gets trolled or just other people like that. Like, we're not really in the public limelight in a way that, you know, if we wrote for a national publication, if we were on a national TV show, if, you know. So I'm kind of curious at a certain level if that happens, you know. I'm kind of curious if, you know, some, you know, business mentors, or, you know, the kind of people who put out the podcast, they get a lot of this, you know. But I have a feeling like, you know, yeah, you just tend to have a bigger target on your back when, you know, when you have a job a lot of people want, or a lifestyle a lot of people want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is a really good topic, Cassie.
I had something else to go along with it, but I can't remember what it was. It was in my head.
You want to look at the notes really quick? Or
no, because it was in my head.
Notes in your head.
Yeah.
I have. But yeah, so it's funny that you brought up trolling, and then yesterday one of the big questions was the negative thing. You know, I had three major sort of categories of questions, and that was one of them.
It's fascinating because it's, I don't know. Psychology intrigues me.
Yeah, human nature and stuff. Actually, the reason I didn't major in psychology at B is because I thought it was interesting. It's because there were so many majors, and there was like, I think there was like 40 or 50 majors in my class, and then there was like 4 professors.
That was the same reason I didn't do psychology. was like everyone was a psych major.
Yeah, so I was always like really interested in the topic, but I thought like, so then I looked at geology and there was 6 of us and 4 professors, and I was like, that's a much better ratio. Like, I have a much better experience if I stick in this relatively small program. So that's what I ended up doing. Was English smaller than psychology as a program, or was there just more professors?
We had a lot of professors.
Okay, because I wasn't sure.
We had
I
6
feel
or
like I know
7.
some English majors, but I also don't know English professors either. So
I think we had 6 or 7.
Oh, nice.
There were quite a few for me, so that's expensive.
Yeah.
So we were pretty spread out. I think my thesis advisor only had like me and maybe 2 other advisees.
Yeah.
Seniors, so that was like awesome.
It makes a difference when they have time to talk to you or whatever. But yeah, I think psychology is pretty interesting too. It's and maybe that's why we do what we do now. We get to kind of deal with people, but you know, even though it's through a screen, it's very much dealing from human to human. You know. Yeah,
and like with the wording and the tone, you can kind of. I mean, for some people, like they just have the short, curt writing style, so you can't really take their temperature with that. But
I feel like I come off that way in email. I feel like
email, yeah.
Well, I'm pretty like to the point or whatever. I'm not gonna write this long, verbose thing. I'm gonna maybe say a little something in the first line, and then I'm just gonna go right into it. And but I get emails from other people, and it's almost like a story. It's almost like, you know.
I have to edit myself.
I wish I could just edit it down into 2 sentences that I really need, because it just took me, 5 minutes to read this and kind of process it.
I have to because I'm one of the more long-winded, I'll just be like, oh, I could have written a blog post instead of this ridiculous email. But for the benefit of if I'm like, oh, does this person really need to know 50% of this information? No. So I get it back, but also I just noticed looking at the screen that my glasses have the paint peeled off right here. I don't know if you can see that.
No, we can pretend that's part of the design. Yeah, it's part of the design.
Oh, so the reason why I had to earlier I was having issues because I was playing with the draw function because I saw that there was a way that you could draw on yourself on the screen, and I wasn't sure if it was actually recording it or not. So that's why I freaked out. I was like, stop.
And you close it again. I was just sure if you closed the Hangout, if it kept the same link when you went back to it, or it generated a new one. That's why I had 2%, because I think we're still. I'm still figuring out clearly Google Hangout. You know more about it than I do. But yeah, any learning curve. By the end of this year, it's gonna be like old hat. We're gonna be all set.
Mm. I guess.
So we have 2 minutes to the day, Cassie. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I don't remember.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
What am I up to the rest of the day? Finishing this up.
Nice.
I have a lot of writing to do.
Yeah.
And then playing with online scheduling stuff.
Nice.
And by playing with, I mean working with in a legitimate way.
Nice. Cool.
But the cool thing about this job is sometimes it feels like I'm playing because I'm having so much fun.
Oh my god.
That was so corny, but I really meant it.
That was really corny. I appreciate that. What am I going to do today? I'm going to drive 300 miles, and I'm going to drink a lot of coffee. I'm already on my 2nd cup, so thankfully you're not in the office with me. You know I get when I have real coffee.
I'm kind of sad I'm missing it, to be honest.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so hopefully tomorrow, I think tomorrow will be a nice full day, but just going to get back and maybe make some phone calls as I drive through the northern woods here. Maybe when I get to reception, a little bit better. I'm at my friend's house. She has pretty good reception. Oh my god, she has the most beautiful view of the valley and all the snow. They have way less snow than we do, by the way. I'm just hilarious. Yeah. But anyway, good Google chat. I'm kind of, I hope that the people can hear me okay and it's not super weird.
Yeah, I'm
I got
gonna.
some weird disembodied voice. But hey, what can you do? We give it a shot. We're still figuring out Google Hangout in terms of doing it as a business versus doing it as a person. I know I've done it as a person and I've added multiple people before. So, Nicole and I can add Cassie and whatever, but I'm curious as a business if the functionality is a little different in the Hangout. So,
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Well, I was wondering because I think initially I tried to do like a video call, which I feel like would have worked, but I don't know anything about video calls.
It's okay. We'll figure it out. I think it's, so if anybody has like any good articles about Google Hangouts or ways that businesses use Google Hangouts to, let people, come in, because it would be fun for us to have like guests sometimes too besides us. So, yeah, if anybody has any useful things and tips or blogs that they read or something like that, send them our way. We're open to it for sure. But thanks, Cass, for holding down the fort. The good news is that I shouldn't be going anywhere for a while. And I'll see you soon. Have the rest of your day. And bye, everyone, all the people who are potentially watching. And we'll see you next week.
All right. Yeah, we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.